welcome to your witnesses. You may proceed when you are ready.
Well, thank you, Mr. Interim Chair.
Thank you.
Members, this is a bill relating to some of the same issues that came up in the discussion over Senator Stern's bill. Though it's a different bill and different remedy. Let me just start by accepting the committee's amendments. I want to thank the chair and the committee staff, especially Mr. Chin, for working closely with my office on this bill. Many of you know the wide open and winding Pacific Coast Highway. It's one of the most famous and picturesque roadways in the world. It draws millions of visitors to the small beach city of Malibu every year. But every couple of months, literally every couple of months, and sometimes more frequently than that, the community is devastated by yet another fatal traffic accident with all sorts of serious crashes and near misses interspersed in between. One of the more recent nights of tragedy in our community happened on October 17th, 2023, when a young man speeding at 104 miles per hour on PCH in Malibu lost control of his vehicle, and he killed 4 young Pepperdine University students who were standing on the road of the side of the highway. The wild thing is, since Michel's daughter Emily was killed back in 2010, one of our students when I was on the school board in Santa Monica, Malibu. Since then, 60 people have been killed just in this one town alone on this one road. And the crazy thing is, we have had to update these talking points. We've had to increase the numbers several times as we have sent in various documents relating to this bill. The author statement, the fact sheet, because most recently the pedestrian was struck by a vehicle on March 29th. 2023 crash data from LA County Sheriff reports 127 property damage collisions, 93 injury collisions, 7 deaths that year, and a primary factor in every one of these incidents was high vehicle speed. So the whole city of Malibu has about 10,000 people, and yet it's in the top 25 small cities in the country with regards to worst crash fatality rates in the fatality rates for crashes. So among 100 similarly sized California cities in 2021, the Office of Traffic Safety ranked Malibu #1 in total injuries and fatalities, #1 in pedestrian injuries and fatalities, #1 in speed-related injuries and fatalities, #1 in motorcycle injuries and fatalities, and 3rd in bicycle injuries and fatalities in the state. NHTSA, the National Highway Transportation Safety Administration, reports that in 2022 alone, traffic accidents killed over 4,400 Californians. According to our National Transportation Safety Board, speeding is a factor in 1/3 of all traffic fatalities. The faster a car is traveling, the greater the risk of serious injury or death. A pedestrian struck by a vehicle traveling only 40 miles an hour has an 80% chance of death. Now, one proven way of slowing folks down is automatic speed camera enforcement. The NTSB, the Centers for Disease Control, the Federal Highway Administration, they've all recommended using speed safety cameras to enforce speed limits. Speed cameras are even an authorized expenditure under the Federal Infrastructure Investment and Jobs Act. Our FHA, the Federal Highway Administration, data shows speed cameras reduce crashes on urban streets by 54%. An NTSB review of speed camera programs around the world found cameras to be an effective tool in reducing fatal collisions. So this bill, as amended, will create a speed camera pilot program for PCH in Malibu, just this one road in one city, modeled significantly on the bill that we all passed last year, Assemblymember Friedman's legislation. The amendments you see in front of you may look significant, but they copy most of the language from last year's legislation, and they were done with that spirit from the committee. The amendments include some privacy and equity and reporting requirements as last year's legislation, the same ones as last year's legislation. There are 2 specific changes for the city of Malibu. First, the city, so it goes further for the city of Malibu. They have to post speed feedback signs at each camera location. These are the signs that show drivers their speed as they approach. Second, the city has to maintain its existing contracting with CHP and the LA sheriffs for patrols, and the city has agreed to do that. So, members, it was just a devastating time for us in the Malibu community, going through yet another series of fatalities. This moment where these 4 wonderful young women were mowed down, I think became a really important inflection point. We know that this bill can make a difference in preventing more unnecessary deaths along the Pacific Coast Highway in Malibu. Reducing speed is imperative to saving lives, and speed safety cameras make this possible. And so here today I have 2 gentlemen who are bonded together as none of us ever hoped to be. They're both fathers of who's lost their girls on the PCH. So we have first Barry Stewart, father of Peyton Stewart, one of the Pepperdine University students killed last year. Michel SHane, who you heard from earlier, whose daughter Emily was killed in 2010 on the PCH. He's also the producer of the powerful documentary 21 Miles in Malibu. And let's start with you, Mr. Stewart.
Okay, good afternoon, Chair and members of the committee. Thanks for letting me testify in support of SB-1509. As Senator Allen said, I'm Barry Stewart. My daughter Peyton was one of the 4 Pepperdine students killed on PCH Malibu. Their photos are in front of me. Peyton's, I think this one. Yeah, no, that's not her. She's here, Deslyn, Asha, and Neve. They were all very good friends, sorority mates, all had a bright future ahead of them. This is a needless tragedy. It's left me, Peyton's mother, our younger daughter, with an unspeakable and permanent hole in our lives. The same is true of her 3 classmates and their families. These young women were standing on the sidewalk in a residential area, and I stress residential, on PCH Malibu, where a 22-year-old Malibu resident driving 104 miles an hour in his mom's BMW M5 mowed them down. The speed limit there is 45, which itself is unsafe. The LA Sheriff's Department tells me that speeds over 60 miles an hour in this residential area are commonplace. Some people drive over 100 miles an hour in that residential area every week, as was told to me by Captain C2 of the LA Sheriff's Department. So guess what happens? 60 people have been killed in PCH Malibu since 2010. Most of them in a roughly 2-mile stretch, including the so-called Dead Man's Curve, where my daughter died. Sheriff's Department stats indicate excessive speed is the primary cause of these deaths and injuries. Since Peyton died, I've attended meetings with Caltrans and City of Malibu elected officials who told me safety is our #1 priority. By enabling electronic speed enforcement and providing safeguards against its misuse, this bill indisputably supports government's responsibility to safeguard law-abiding motorists, cyclists, and pedestrians. In other jurisdictions, these systems have been proven effective, efficient, and impartial. They work around the clock. They're inexpensive. They don't discriminate. They ticket all the drivers exceeding the limit by a preset amount, and they don't ticket all the other drivers. They change behavior. Once drivers know they'll be automatically fined for speeding, they slow down. Some say that electronic enforcement will cost law enforcement jobs. That concern is unfounded. Again, the LA Sheriff's Department, Malibu, has funding to hire more deputies, but they can't get enough candidates. In LA County, deputies are retiring faster than they can be replaced. Electronic enforcement would free scarce personnel to handle other offenses, the ones that require actual live deputies. This bill is California legislators' opportunity to save lives without harming anyone and without curbing the freedom of any law-abiding Californians. I implore you to support this bill so future families avoid the agony my family, Michelle's family, and 58 other families of people killed on PCH Malibu have experienced since 2010. I respectfully ask the committee to move forward SB 1297. Thank you.
Thank you both for being here. Again.
Yeah. Go, sir.
Oh, I apologize. You didn't.
No problem.
Sorry.
Thank you again I'm here today to share my heartbreaking story of loss, grief, and devastation caused by reckless driving. My name is Michel SHane. I'm a resident of Malibu, a father of 3 children, a filmmaker. 14 years ago, my beloved daughter Emily was cruelly taken away from us in senseless traffic violence incidents caused by a speeding driver on PCH. Emily was just 13 years old, full of life and promise, when she was cut short. The pain and devastation followed her death was immeasurable. Our family, her school, her community were all deeply affected by her loss. One of Emily's friends, who was just 13 at the time, struggled with guilt and grief for years, forever marked by this loss of her best friend. No one should have to experience the trauma of losing a child or a friend to reckless drive. This is not an accident. It was a deliberate choice by a reckless driver who prioritized speeding over human life. His callous disregard for the law and human life resulted in the loss of an innocent young girl, leaving a void that will never be filled. Since Emily's tragic death in 2010, there have been 170 fatalities, severe injuries to passengers and drivers, pedestrians along PCH and Malibu, with speeding as the primary factor in nearly every case. The CHP has issued 727 speeding citations along PCH in Malibu in the last 3 months, highlighting the urgency of the matter. From April 2010 to now, 60 people have died in Malibu alone due to reckless driving. While efforts have been made to improve safety along PCH over the year, more needs to be done. That's why I firmly support Senator Allen's bill, SB-1509, which proposes establishing a pilot program for automated speed enforcement along portions of PCH. Such systems have been proven effective in reducing speeding, resulting in fewer collisions and saving lives. I urge you, esteemed members of the committee, to recognize the urgent need for this legislation. Look at the data, hear the stories, do what is right to protect the lives of our most vulnerable citizens. The time for action is now. I respectfully ask you to support SB 1297. Together we can make our roads safer, save lives, and you'll never have to walk in either Barry or my shoes. Thank you.
Again, thank you both for being here and under emotional circumstances, to say the least. Are there others in the committee room who wish to express the support position? Name, affiliation, and support, please.
Good afternoon, Senators. I'm Doug Stewart, Mayor Pro Tem, City of Malibu. We fully support this. Thank you.
Thank you.
Good afternoon, Steve McCleary, City of Malibu City Manager, and again, the City of Malibu strongly urges your support of this bill. We appreciate your consideration. Thank you.
Hi, everyone. Tracy Rosenberg with Oakland Privacy. We are tweeners on this bill. No opposition to the bill. We just wanted to make the statement that AB 645 was negotiated with a number of advocates for a number of years. I believe it was over 3 different legislative sessions.
We're not taking testimony from, at this point, just name, affiliation, and position.
Well, we are tweeners, so we're just trying to express the concern that the legislative negotiations were ample and lengthy, and that we don't want to see this bill become the first of many changes to that agreement.
Thank you. The proper process is to let us know you want to speak as an opposition witness, so that the committee knows that's happening. Is there anyone else who wishes to testify in opposition? I'm sorry, in support? I don't believe we have a lead opposition witness, do we? Then I will call any witnesses who wish to express an opposition position, name, affiliation, and opposition at this time. Seeing none, we'll come back to the committee. Committee members, comments, questions? Senator Newman.
So, glad to support the bill. I just want to say, I'm always just amazed that people who've experienced such loss can turn that loss into advocacy, and we thank you for it. I'm glad to support it. It's very brave.
All right, thank you, Senator Newman. Senator Sayarto and Senator Nilo, in that order.
Thank you. Question for the author. The previous studies that was supposed to be done, what are the results from that?
Which?
There was supposed to be another pilot project for this.
Oh, you mean from the Friedman bill?
Right.
It just passed last year, so we're having it. It's underway.
Okay, so I'm hoping that when this passes, that it will get done quickly, so that we can start to gather the information that we need. I generally shy away from the Big Brother approach to these type of things, but on this particular stretch of Malibu, the PCH through Malibu, in addition to the speeding problems, there's also some design problems and issues with where pedestrians can walk, because a lot of the pedestrians walking through there, I used to work at 71s, the pedestrians that walk through there have nowhere to walk.
That's right.
And sometimes, they've been out partying and things like that. But there is an extraordinary amount of cars and horrendous crashes, and you've seen some of them. They're highlighted. They're these $230,000 vehicles that are flying down the road, and very irresponsible. But when we catch these people, we need to do something. When we catch them speeding at 110 miles an hour, we actually have to do something with them. And that's one of the failings of us is we kind of want to catch people, but then we don't do anything. They're not being deterred by getting caught going 100 miles an hour. They got the money to pay for it if they're driving those kind of vehicles. I'm going to support this bill today just because it is Malibu, and it is a specific area that has had a lot of problems, and something has to be done. But I want to see the results of this. I would like the legislature to get a report on how this has been effective, so that we can tell other people in other areas, because this isn't something that I want on every freeway and every road of California. It's just especially this particular stretch. It's brutal.
Yep.
And I think people are sick and tired of not only watching it happen, but nothing happening after it happens.
Yeah.
So, thank you.
And there is a report back requirement in the bill where the city would have to report back.
All right, Senator Neal.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. When it comes to traffic enforcement, especially the way things are now, I'm all for the Big Brother approach. My concern about this bill is it's not enough of a hammer. Now, I can't imagine walking in your shoes. I've got 5 kids, 6 grandkids. If something like that happened to any of them, it would destroy my life, I'm quite sure. And we need real consequences to people that are violating traffic laws, as I said, especially now. And it's not just speeding. It's what I see, which is up here. I'm not down in Malibu, but I see reckless lane changes. I see it because it's become almost habitual for people to hug back bumpers these days. It's not a majority of people. It is a minority, but it's a minority enough that it is wholly noticeable and obviously dangerous.
Yeah.
And I did not support Assemblywoman Friedman's bill last year because it's not enough of a consequence. They speed, they get a picture sent to them, and they get a ticket, and no points. And I don't think that's enough of a consequence. Now, you indicated the number of tickets that have been issued in the last few months, and I got to think, my gosh, are cameras going to make a difference with blatant behavior like that? They're stopped, they're given a ticket, the Highway Patrol writes the ticket to them. The alternative is they get a picture in the mail and a ticket and no points. I'm just very doubtful that that's going to be effective. We need In areas like that, we need overwhelming enforcement on the road, and in areas like I observe here on Highway 50, we need just plain more enforcement on the road. We have vacancies in the Highway Patrol. The governor has taken a number of them away for crime enforcement that has nothing to do with their primary mission. We need more enforcement on the roads. This is just a picture in the mail, pay a fine, no consequence to your driving record, in fact, and for that reason, I just can't support it. But I absolutely support, as I said, the Big Brother approach, real hammer on violations, which is why I co-authored Senator Stern's bill.
Thank you, Senator. Senator Wakespeare.
Yes, thank you. First, I want to acknowledge the courage and the willingness to take your personal tragedy into a public forum and relive it, and for the benefit of lawmakers who can make changes. I just really want to recognize that because it's a testament to both of you personally willing to do that. And I want to thank the author for this bill. I think this is exactly the right bill for this. Speed cameras that send tickets is close to $500. And those, when you add the fines and the various things, that is real money for people. And it needs to be happening routinely. It needs to be something that is a consequence that people expect on this road, because clearly we have a major problem. And I think it's worth noting some of the realities that Malibu does not have its own police department, so it can't have more patrol officers on its own. They've offered to pay CHP for additional patrols, but CHP is short-staffed, can't supply the number that are needed. LA Police has also said that they are too short-staffed to add these additional patrols. And so I really applaud the author for doing this, fully support it, and I think it's needed here and likely other places as well. Thank you.
All right, anyone else in terms of committee members? All right, seeing none. Senator Allen, thanks for working so closely with the committee staff on this bill. I know when we first discussed it, perhaps there was a little bit of a different approach, just a broad approach to sort of blend the bill with the pilot program from last year, and I very much appreciate the instant focus on what I think a few people have talked about, and what I think you really wanted to get done was just to zoom in literally with implementation on PCH and get that done and not have to be distracted by some of the issues that are very legitimate, I think, in broader urban areas and differing urban areas in California, whether that be equity or some of the issues we heard earlier about who the folks are that are driving that are going to get impacted one way or the other. So by focusing the bill the way you did and working with the committee staff here to get that done, I too think it's an extremely appropriate bill. And I'm not sure, as lengthy as the pilot period is, that it wouldn't be wise to come back at some point even sooner, and assuming this bill gets signed into law after a couple of years of results, and just remove any kind of sunsetting on the bill and just make it permanent. But that said, again, I certainly support the bill. I wasn't here at the beginning of your presentation at the first couple of minutes of it, but I understand you're taking the amendments.
Yes, yeah.
As requested by the committee, and with that, you're welcome to close.
Yeah, I appreciate the discussion very much, and I first of all, thank you, Senator Newman, for your comments. We sit next to each other, and he's got a little girl, and I have one coming actually next month, and we were just reflecting on just the devastation and tragedy and courage it takes to come up and devote yourself to advocacy, to make, to try to try your best to make it so that your little girl your little girl's loss is not entirely in vain. So I want to reiterate everyone's thanks and gratitude to these two dads here who are stepping up to advocate for their kids. I don't disagree with you, Senator Nilo or Senator Ciardo. I think part of why I was such a strong supporter of Senator Stern's bill as well. I think we do need stronger enforcement, as you know, and as was discussed by the tweener here. The Freedman bill was heavily negotiated. There was at times conversation about heavier enforcement, and it was rejected along the way. So we're trying our best to fit within, and as it was, this bill was scaled back, quite a bit from how it was originally proposed. We wanted to cover some more cities, but we really did decide to, working with the chair to focus in on the Malibu PCH situation. We certainly had a challenge with getting with law enforcement. The local sheriff's department is, I think, it's 70% staffing. They're already working overtime 6 or 7 days a week. We now have brought CH. This incident actually finally shook a number of the bureaucracy loose enough to get CHP now back onto the PCH. It was not there previously, so there have been some progress made in that. But certainly we need to do more in terms of enforcement. I'd love to talk to you more about it. You bring up the point about the fact that in some cases, in some of these very same incidences, you've had some very wealthy people who have been driving very expensive cars, and there is a question about the extent to which fines make a difference. A $500 fine is very high for most people, and yet there is a portion of the population, certainly some of these guys who've some of the folks who in question here, for whom it maybe isn't enough of a disincentive. We actually were looking after this at trying to do a bill that would correct for that or address that, and that's a challenge. I mean, Judicial Council had issues. It's obviously really expensive to implement. There was a pilot program that was done back in the 90s that relating to this that apparently didn't show major change in driver behavior. I will say. I know they do. I think they do this in Finland, where your income, if you literally pay a fine based on your income, so that that it will create more of a disincentive. So for most people, $500 is enough, but maybe for this guy, it should have been several thousand, or even more. And I would love to see us be able to do something like that. Lots of challenges associated, but if members of this committee and others want to do some work in this space, I'm certainly open to those conversations. And but as I say, there are some pilot programs that showed mixed results from the 90s, but happy to reopen that conversation and engage with all of you on this, because we're trying to figure out ways to really make sure that this is going to be effective. We know this is a tool. There's already legislation in place under the Freedman bill. We have been able to neatly expand the Freedman scheme to Malibu under this bill and do it in a way that met support from everybody. So I know that's going to be helpful. I know that Senator Stern's bill is going to be helpful, but we all know I know that the CHP enforcement is going to be helpful. There's a broader conversation in the city of Malibu right now about redesign, because Senator Ciardo is absolutely right. This was a road that was built as a state highway back at a time when there were far fewer people living there. Now Malibu has become an important tourist city with literally millions of people traveling over there, up and down that road, enjoying the scenery. There's an important university there. It's become it's a place where everyone from LA comes to go to the beach. So the road is just not prepared to handle its current use. And that is another reason why there's all this death and destruction there. So there's a series of redesign challenges that need to be addressed there as well. But we do know that this bill is going to make a difference, even if it doesn't go far enough. And I just appreciate everyone's recognition of the importance of what we're trying to do here with both of these bills as presented. And respectfully ask for an aye vote.
Thank you. Do we have a motion?
I'll move it.
Someone move the bill. I heard Senator Blakespear first, so she's got the motion, and the motion is do pass as amended to appropriations.
File item number 17, SB-1297. Senators Cortese?
Aye.
Cortese, aye. Nilo? No. Nilo, no. Allen? Aye. Allen, aye. Archuleta?
Aye.
Archuleta, aye. Becker?
Aye.
Becker, aye. Blakespear?
Aye.
Blakespear, aye. Dally?
Aye.
Dally, aye. Dodd? Aye. Dodd, aye. Gonzalez? Aye. Gonzalez, aye. Limon? Aye. Limon, aye. Newman? Aye. Newman, aye. Wen? Aye. Wen, aye. Portantino? Aye. Portantino, aye. Sarto? Sarto, aye. Umberg? Aye. Umberg, aye. 14 to 1.
All right, that bill's out on a 14-1 vote. We're now going to lift the call. But you want to start with the consent calendar? Yes. All right, the assistant will call the absent members on the consent calendar.